All right, YouTube, this is 2 Cent back at you with my 2 cents on Echoes of Mana, and specifically, we're going to be looking at Lady Blackpearl. This was the unit I was excited for when I heard that she was coming out. I definitely like the look of this unit, and let's dig into what I kind of feel should be the build for her, and the kind of way of playing her. And first, let's look at our gear. Currently, I have the strength set that I put on her, and I do need to farm some more of this. I don't have the best pieces of this just because I got quite a few characters now, and I think Kevin's currently wearing my my strength set that I would like to have. Now, as well with that, as I would like to put the bone set on her as well to get the extra strength here, and I just haven't farmed enough of that and gotten enough to even make one good set yet, let alone two for multiple of the units out here. So that's what I kind of think here is you're going to go with the strength set on the left side for the armor side, and then the accessory side you're going to go with the bone set from the very hard story stage chapter 6. So that's what I'm thinking as far as that goes. Now, the way that we're going to be looking for stats for her is you're definitely going to want to prioritize strength and luck, just like most of your physical units. She also does buff her own constitution. So my kind of rule of thumb is you want to get your luck somewhere around that 450 to 500 mark, stack a bunch of strength, and try and make sure that both luck and strength is on just about every piece that you're using, and then try and get constitution on the rest of your stats there. So that way, if you have those three, you can get the most bang from your buck out of your passives that you have going on. So taking another quick look at her skills over here, her recovery skill on her ST, I was hoping this was going to be a little bit better, but 20% of not very much intellect is still not a huge heal. It's kind of like that 180 mark area. I do think that there is some room here that you might put the recovery memory gem on her, and then you've bumped that up a little bit, but I'm not feeling that it is working as well as I would like it to make it really impactful for her. I thought she'd be a little bit more, if we could double that heal or something like that, get a little bit more sustain in there from it. Right now it's just kind of like, nice to have, but I'm not like super excited about it. However, what I do really like about axe units is that ability to hold down the attack, and I will showcase that a little bit later on here with some of the runs that I'm doing. Some of them I'm just purposely holding down to watch the charge timer. But as you hold down your auto attack, it charges up your ST gauge, without you having to even hit anything. So that's kind of neat if you're looking to utilize that more. She's got this Blammo skill here. It seems to hit pretty good. I feel pretty good using it. What I do notice a little bit about this unit is both her ST and her skill seems a little bit slower than, but I couldn't tell you if it exactly is any frame rate slower, than the other units like Kevin or Rise or anything like that. But it does feel like she's a little bit on the slow side and more likely to get caught in mechanics from using her skills. Now, I do have her currently up at +5, and later on I will try and go back into when they release her specific banner, maybe get lucky to grab that one more, and then at least walk away with a maxed unit to kind of play around with. But down here, she's got some okay on her skills here. That skill usage ST gauge boost rate, I'm really not liking it as much as I thought. I thought, well, if we can, tap into that, get that extra boost rate, then maybe she can just keep chaining into her STs and get her her recovery or her sustain kind of lifesteal from that. And it's just not working out the way I kind of wanted it to with that from my testing. It just doesn't seem. Oh, and my my wife is texting me. Sorry, I do record this on my phone. Because I haven't gotten emulated that worked well enough for me. It kept crashing. So, anyhow, I just overall am not super excited about her support skill in that nature, and with that being said, I think that's actually going to give me a little bit of an edge over to Hawkeye as far as units on this banner. I think he's the better unit of the two. So we will get into his review here in a little bit, but you can see I have her mana board pretty much all the way maxed out that I can do right now because I can't get her to 99. And then here we are waiting just for that. So let's look over at some footage here, and I'll just kind of break down a little bit of kind of how I'm feeling with it. Now here we are at the event boss at the very hard stage, and you can see my team up there. I decided to go with the two new characters in Sumo. They're light units. This boss is weak to light, and I thought that might be a good way of doing that. Also going to be great for testing for Hawkeye here and for his video. So you know, energy efficient for doing some reviews here. So as you can kind of see here, this boss is actually pretty unforgiving with as much of like he can hit you. There's not a whole lot of time in between. It's really punishing when you get hit by those rocks falling. So you definitely want to make sure you avoid those because you're going to get stunned. This video, however, is not about this event, but it is about our Lady Blackpearl here. And this is kind of what I was talking about with some of those issues of her just being what I could feel like a tad bit slower there than some of my other units, and it ends up getting her killed sometimes. Now she's pretty kitted out at this point and pretty high up there, and what I've just found is that for one, I could get better at this fight. It's my first couple of times going in here doing it at all anyway, but I found that it's just not quite as comfortable in there with Lady Blackpearl to be able to really get into that kind of rotation that I was kind of hoping to get with her, where you know we're using her ST and then quickly getting it up either by holding down on her attack and to charge that on her base attack, or by spamming her skill. Her skill just it makes her stand in place, and it's just too easy to get hit there. So that is definitely somewhat of a negative that I'm going to give for her. Now, I do feel like damage-wise, like she's doing good damage, and that is definitely, I think, kind of what you're wanting from her anyhow. And so when I'm looking at it, I initially had thought she was going to be a pretty good AI unit where you could just kind of set her and just let her go in your party, and you can manually place somebody else. And I'm just wrong about that. My first thought on her, on looking at her kit, I think is just wrong, because she's definitely she's a melee unit, and she does have that constitution buff that does help her become a little more tanky, but she does not have that super armor, so she's getting beat around a little bit. And the other main problem is that the computer or the AI will not use her charge up at all. And so there's definitely going to be times in which you're going to want to step to the side or something like that to avoid an attack, in which you can just charge up your ST while you're doing that. And the computer's just not going to do that. I also just look at the way that you're going to want to utilize her in the right scenarios is spamming her abilities and getting her ST and spamming it again. I think that's kind of the point of the axe users, and the computer is just not going to be spam happy enough for this unit. So if I was going to leave you guys with a set of a review here, I would say that as far as an AI unit, I'm going to rank her pretty low as like a 2 out of 5, and that's pretty low for me compared to some of the other ones. But I just don't think that with the other units that we have, the other 4-star units, for one, that she is going to be able to handle being on the AI side of things, but then that you'd rather have her over any of the other units there. Now for manual control, obviously units are so much easier to use and utilize to their strengths, and so your character should have a higher rating on manual than AI, and that's the case here as well. I'm going to give her a 3.5 out of 5 on this, mostly just because I'm not sure that her kit is definitely not free-to-play friendly. That I currently have her at +5, and I really think she needs to be fully maxed Unleashed to really get that extra piece of her support, to get that extra XT gauge, to really kind of unlock maybe where she's supposed to be and how she's supposed to be utilized. And maybe this specific specific fight here, this boss's event, isn't where she's supposed to shine real well, but it's going to be probably pretty reminiscent of most of the harder content in the game, and so then that has to be a contributing factor as well. Overall, I'm going to give her that score there of 3.5, and we'll just kind of see if she kind of grows into the future. However, I just don't find her super great at low investment, and so I do think that you're going to want to, if you're going to pull for her, you're going to want to pull for at least a few dupes for her. So now that kind of brings us to the next part of our rating here, and that's the looks. She looks great. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's a 5 out of 5. That was, one of the main factors is I do like to chase pixels sometimes. So overall here, we're going to give her the 3 out of 5 treatment. This is kind of where I'm saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, if you got her and you're wanting to invest in her and kind of get some dupes, sure, she's going to be a decent unit for your team. But if you're asking me if she's better than Hawkeye, no, I'm not going to say that. I think Hawkeye is clearly the better unit on this current banner. If you're asking me if she's better than Kevin, nope, I don't think she's better than Kevin either. You asked me, do you think she's better than Kildrick? I'm going to say no, not better than Kildrick either. So that's kind of where I'm putting her down here. She's going to be what I would think very comparable, or even maybe a little bit better than our standard banner units, something like Duran or Reese or something like that. I do think Lady Blackpearl is slightly better than they are, or at least has a higher skill cap or some more longevity than what they're going to have in the game. We're already seeing with Hawkeye how Duran is going to be kind of pushed out a little bit, in my opinion. So we'll take a better look at that when we get into Hawkeye's rating. And for now, that's been my 2 cents on Lady Blackpearl.